Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to another Down the Block Sports exclusive. I'm your host, Alec Walt, the host of the Alec Walt Show, alongside Conor Robinson and Michael Balko, the host of the Who Dat Chat. And today we're going to recap the Patriots against the Saints. Before we get started and I lose my freaking mind over an absolutely pitiful performance by the New England Patriots, let me introduce my two co-hosts for today's show. Mr. Conor Robinson, Mr. Michael Balko, welcome back and congratulations on the win that didn't seem too difficult yesterday in Foxborough, Massachusetts.
Pleasure to be back.
Had
Pleasure.
to go black and gold on the mug, but yes, great game. Absolutely phenomenal game. Battle of the Brains. Real excited. Let's just jump right in, man. Walt, how you feeling, buddy?
I feel pretty terrible, especially going into next week with a game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game I knew the Patriots were going to lose regardless. So going into that matchup 1-2 doesn't have me feeling well. Let's start off the bat. We had a big conversation last week about the running game. I said the Patriots really needed to set the offense on the ground. You know, looking at the stat line, Mac threw the ball 51 times, and Mac also led the team in rushing. The Saints, let's give it credit right there. Their run defense yesterday, their front seven, especially their front four on the line of scrimmage, played absolutely freaking fantastic. Your game plan against this defense was great, and Mac Jones had his welcome to the NFL moment. I think the Saints on the defensive side of the ball played absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and not to rub it in, but it is something that was pretty expected. I think both Conor and I both mentioned it in our last show that you don't run against the Saints. I mean, except for that one fluke game last season where I don't even remember somebody, I think it was Tampa Bay maybe, ran for like 200 yards on us or something like that. I don't remember what team it was, but someone ran for like 200 yards on us last year. But besides that, I think the streak's at like 90 games, excluding that game, without allowing a 100-yard rusher. So you just know that anytime you play the Saints, you know, you're going to have to throw the ball. But you're just not going to run against the Saints, man. I mean, your best running back, Damian Harris, who is a very coveted fantasy football prospect right now after a very hot start to the season, had 14 rushing yards, and Mac Jones, of all people, had 28 rushing yards. So that just kind of goes to show how severely good the Saints defense is. And yeah, they're just a team you don't really run on, man. And the defense showed out. And honestly, I low-key do think it was more so a battle of the defenses and the offenses, because the Saints didn't really look all that good on offense, even though we managed to put up 21 points on offense. Because remember, we had a pick six. So we didn't put up 28, we put up 21. But yeah, I mean, overall, I just feel like we were just a little bit better on defense than we were on offense, and it showed. So yeah.
Conor, when we had our conversation about the run defense, one guy you brought up immediately was Demario Davis. And of course, he was a name I heard regularly on the broadcast. He had an unbelievable game for you guys, 8 total tackles, 2 for loss. I mean, you talk about the anchor here of this run defense. He was frequently in the Patriots' backfield, and a major reason to why the Patriots could not move the football yesterday.
Yeah, you look at a player like Demario Davis, a guy who's really the leader of the defense, and I said it starts with him, right? So you look at the rest of that stat line for the defense: Marshawn Lattimore, Malcolm Jenkins, and Paulson Adebo, both, or I should say, all three of them had very good games in terms of tackling, being over the ball. Malcolm Jenkins taking a pick for a pick six. So the defense, it's about getting those veteran guys engaged and getting them to really lead from the front. And I think this defense has shown, the rush defense is definitely there, and the pass defense needs a little bit of work, getting those new guys in and fully acclimated. But yeah, just to piggyback off their defense, man, I played them in fantasy and they got me like 25 points. So game time decision, I thought I would roll the dice and it worked out really well.
So I have a lot to get off my chest here with this Patriots offense. I already started with Mac Jones. If you expect a QB like him to throw the ball 51 times, don't exactly expect to win the football game. This isn't Justin Herbert. Now, he's not a guy who turned the ball over. I said the team that turns the ball over more will lose this game, and that was the New England Patriots. Mac threw 3 interceptions. Of course, I wish one could be credited to Jonnu Smith, but that's not how the NFL works. He threw 3 interceptions. You can't do that if you're Mac Jones. He threw none going into this game. He threw 3. in this game against the Saints, and the Saints went on to win this game by 15. Now, when you look at this offense, I did want Mac Jones to stretch the field more. Of course, he tried there in the first quarter, didn't really do too well. What did I learn about this game yesterday? One, he has zero chemistry with Nelson Aguilar, who's supposed to be our deep ball receiver, taking the top off the defense. The Saints are like, well, if you're not going to throw the ball deep, you are allowed to play tight in the box, affect the running game. Two, Jonnu Smith is looking like a huge waste of money. And I don't like bringing up money because these contracts, they deserve, they've earned it. Good for them. But when you're being paid $10+ million to play the tight end position, catch the damn football. There was no one in front of you when Malcolm Jenkins had that interception. It was such a bad drop that he literally gave it to Malcolm Jenkins. On a possession that we needed to score to win the game, the Saints took it to the house and gave themselves a stronger lead here in that possession. And then just a couple plays defensively, I didn't make much sense to me. 3rd and 1, Marquez Callaway's on the outside. Our corner's 10 yards behind him. So we stack the box looking for run. Jameis throws him a slant first down. Okay, it's 3rd and long. 3rd is key because Jameis's play on 3rd down was a huge determinant to how successful they would be in this game, and he was. We sent Devin McCourty on a blitz. 1st down, well past the 1st down marker, where in the middle of the field where McCourty would likely be playing. Okay, Taysom Hill comes in the game. What's the play? Taysom Hill loves to run. He's in the shotgun, and he runs and finds the hole. He wasn't fooling you. He had one play where he passed the ball. One, and it was in the red zone, and the Patriots were prepared for it. But he gets the ball in the shotgun, does his dance, attacks to the hole, scores a touchdown, gives you guys a 28-point lead. There were just way too many key plays where the Patriots defense was absolutely nowhere to be found. I'm not saying they had a bad game, but like I mentioned before, the Patriots needed to score first to force Jameis to throw. What did the Saints do? Score first. The Patriots needed to get the momentum in the second half. What did the Saints do? Got the easiest interception of Malcolm Jenkins' career, and it was returned for a touchdown. The Patriots finally get points on the board, are down one possession. What do they need to do? Stop you guys on the ground. Saints went down the field and scored a touchdown. The Patriots didn't win this game. They didn't deserve to win this game. And overall, if you expect to throw 51 times, throw 3 interceptions, and look horrendous offensively, specifically on the ground, you don't deserve to win, and you're not going to win many games this year in the NFL. I thought yesterday was a pitiful performance across the board by the New England Patriots.
Well, I have a question for you.
What?
So let's say, with the game coming up, the return as it's being hailed, I was watching Sunday Night Football, and they had this, whole spiel. If the Pats go 1-3, I mean, do you think they can still make the playoffs, or do you think, given Buffalo and how well they're playing, that they might not even make it in?
Yeah, I mean, they were a team that was kind of hovering around that 10-win mark regardless. I mean, I said they had a lot of 50-50 games, and they've already lost 2 of them. So, I mean, with the Texans, the Jets, the Falcons, the Colts, the Jaguars, the Dolphins again, depending on Tua's health. I mean, there are some wins left on the schedule, but, they needed to win one of these games if they wanted to consider it. The Chargers look like a team that could make the playoffs, same with the Browns. So there are other teams in the AFC that have a chance to do something. Heck, the Raiders and the Broncos, I think, are 3-0 right now, which, again, there's more teams the Patriots are going to need to jump, and they're already back a couple games early on in this season. So they don't look like a playoff team. This team doesn't deserve to be playing playoff football. They played a quality team yesterday, and they got embarrassed at home. What are they going to do when they go to Arrowhead? This team needs to play much better, much smarter, and if you're going to think Nelson Aguilar and Jonnu Smith are going to make millions of dollars to make an impact on this offense and not be able to take the top off this defense and not be able to catch wide open passes, if they play like they did yesterday, they're not winning many games and they're competing for an early draft pick. Michael Balko, you deserve some credit here. I was expecting a much larger stat line because it seemed like every play he made had some impact to it, but I I would say this was kind of his breakout game because he did score the touchdown, but we heard Callaway's name mentioned a couple times there on the broadcast for the Saints.
Yes, we did. I did. I don't want to take too much credit for it, but I did say that Marquez Callaway was going to have a big game. He's going to be an impact player for the Saints. He didn't have like a big game, but he was the Saints' leading receiver, 4 catches on 5 targets, 41 yards and a touchdown. So I guess, I mean, he was kind of the go-to guy. I also said that Juwan Johnson was going to be a non-factor. He was a non-factor, 0 catches. Don't even know if he really had any targets. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just pretty clear cut that, we needed an unfamiliar face on film to step up in yesterday's game. And that's exactly what we saw from Marquez Callaway. Obviously, Callaway has a year of experience under his belt. He had a strong preseason. So obviously the Patriots knew he was going to be a threat, but he was the go-to guy. Whenever we needed a conversion, we were going to Callaway. We were looking his way, and everything just kind of paid off for us. So it was nice that we got to kind of reap those rewards a little bit, because we've been kind of waiting for this big game from Callaway all season now. After, a lot of people were taking him pretty damn early in some fantasy drafts because he was the most buzzed player coming out of the preseason after those 2 very, very strong games. So, yeah, it was nice to kind of see Marquez Callaway and Jameis Winston both kind of reap the rewards, and also kind of piggybacking off of, our last show where we were kind of previewing this game and we're talking about which Jameis Winston do we think is going to show up on a week-to-week basis. I think this is the Jameis Winston we're going to see on a week-to-week basis. I don't think we're going to see a shitload of pass attempts or completions. I think we're going to see, maybe a touchdown or 2. I think we're going to see him run the ball a little bit more, try to make things happen with his feet. And I also think he's going to throw some interceptions. He didn't throw any yesterday. But I do think this is kind of the Jameis Winston we're going to see moving forward. He's not going to be great. He's not going to be bad. I think he's just kind of be like, there. You know what I mean? He's going to do enough to help us win some games, keep us in playoff contention for sure. But I think, the Saints kind of offensive mantra moving forward is going to be similar to what we saw in yesterday's game with Alvin Kamara. He ran for 89 yards with a long of 11. So that just kind of shows you that, we're trying to run the ball a little bit more, and Alvin Kamara had a pretty big workload running it 24 times on the ground. I mean, he very, very, very rarely ever runs the ball out of the backfield 24 times in a game. He had 3 catches for 29 yards and a touchdown. So we're trying to get Kamara more involved. Deontay Harris. I mean, if you just look, we're just looking to get the ball inside these quick, speedy guys' hands. That was kind of the theme yesterday. Kamara, Deontay Harris, and Marquez Callaway were our 3 leading receivers. They all kind of have a similar play style in the right of just getting the ball in their hands, and they're making things happen. So I think that's kind of the offensive scheme moving forward, and I think they had the most success. I think this is the most New Orleans Saints type of game to expect moving forward. I mean, obviously we saw week 1, we blew out the Packers. That's not going to happen on a week-to-week basis. We got blown out against Carolina. That's also not going to happen on a week-to-week basis. I think this was the first time as Saints fans where we're just like, all right, this is the type of game I think we can expect from the Saints on a week-to-week basis.
Well, yeah, looking at your schedule moving forward, you have New York Giants, Washington, Seattle, Tampa, Atlanta, Tennessee, Philadelphia, and then Buffalo. It gets a little bit tougher towards the end, but you guys have some wins here. I mean, New York's 0-3. Washington, again, their defense hasn't looked as good as I thought they would. Seattle just blew a game to the Vikings. The Buccaneers are the Buccaneers. The Falcons are terrible. If you can stop the running game, you'll beat the Titans. And the Eagles have shown you 2 different versions of them, but I don't see them as a team better than the Saints right now. So your game plan of getting on the board early, getting Kamara involved on the ground, playing solid defense, specifically on the run, looking at your schedule ahead, I think you both can agree with me. It looks like you guys can play this type of game plan and win some games with this pretty soft schedule ahead of you.
I think we're most definitely going to be in that mix for a wild card. I don't know if we're going to be able to knock off the Bucs to win our 5th consecutive NFC South Division title, but looking at Tampa Bay's schedule, looking at the insane squad they have there, I don't think that's really a possibility for us. I mean, it could be. I mean, we're a damn good football team too, and it's obviously a possibility, but, I do think that we're going to be in competition for that wild card spot. And I think we'll be able to make a little bit of a splash in the playoffs for sure, especially since we're going to be back at the Dome this upcoming week. So that's obviously good. Get back in the Bayou, play in front of the hometown crowd again. It's going to be great. That Dome's going to be rocking. You might as well just Saints by 30 this weekend.
The one thing I don't think any of us mentioned is Saints missed 2 field goals, so the scoreline could have actually been worse. And talk about the Pats getting on the board early. They were able to really get on the board until second quarter, and the field goal by then, it's not the best.
They kicked a field goal when they had one of their best drives of the game. I mean, they just weren't scoring in the end zone. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a good point there, Connor. The 2 missed field goals. I mean, this game definitely would have been worse coming on the show saying 34-13, but that's almost what it felt like. I mean, seriously, watching that game, it didn't feel like the Patriots lost by only 15. So the Saints had a great game plan. They executed it. The Patriots had an extremely difficult time off the bat and couldn't take advantage of any possessions there in the second, and the Saints went on to win this game 28-13. Gentlemen, thank you very much both for taking the time out of your morning to join me on this preview. I know you two enjoyed this a little bit more than me, but congratulations on the win, and good luck to your Saints the rest of this season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Walt, man. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure, man.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this episode of this Down the Block Sports exclusive. I'm your host, Alec Walt, the host of the Alec Walt Show, alongside Conor Robinson and Michael Balko, the hosts of the Who Dat Chat here on Down the Block Sports. What do you think of the Patriots or the Saints' performance in that Week 3 matchup? Feel free to comment that below. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Down the Block Sports for more of our exclusive content. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you very soon.